Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a massive, honestly mind-blowing evolutionary paradox. We are looking at why the absolute most dangerous animals on Earth are deeply, instinctively terrified of us. It's a biological mystery that goes against literally everything we think we know about our place in the food chain. And let me tell you, the answer is absolutely fascinating.
Okay, picture this bizarre reality for a second. If you were to drop a human, completely bare, into the middle of the African savanna, we'd look like an evolutionary joke, right? I mean, think about the apex predators. They've got razor-sharp claws, they can sprint at 70 miles per hour, they have bone-crushing jaws, and thick armor. And us? We're soft, we're incredibly slow, and we completely lack natural weapons. We essentially look like a free lunch. Yet, if a wild lion or a massive wolf catches a glimpse of a human walking through their territory today, their first instinct isn't to attack, it's to run away. So, that brings up the absolute crucial question, why? Why does a 400-pound killing machine take one look at a weak, furless primate and bolt? Now, we like to tell ourselves that animals fear us because, we have guns, we drive cars, we have loud machines. But biologists have found that this deep, trembling terror of humans exists even in the most remote wilderness areas. We're talking about places where these animals have never seen a firearm or a vehicle in their entire lives. They don't even know what a gun is.
To figure this out, let's jump into part one, our biological superpower, going back 2 million years on the savanna. To understand the absolute nightmare we represent to the animal kingdom, we have to travel back to our ancestors, like Homo erectus. Long before concrete cities, they were hunting in the wild. But they didn't kill with explosive speed. You see, our unique biological superpower isn't strength, it's endurance. Almost every other mammal on Earth is built for short, explosive bursts of speed. A cheetah can sprint insanely fast, but after a few hundred yards, its core temperature skyrockets. It has to stop and rest, or its brain will literally cook inside its skull. Humans, though, we're built totally differently. Walking upright on 2 legs saves a massive amount of energy. Plus, we're relatively hairless and covered in millions of sweat glands, which means we can dump heat while we are actively moving. A cheetah has to stop to cool down. We just sweat and keep going.
We basically used this biology to become the relentless ghosts of the savanna through something called persistence hunting. It worked like this. Step 1. Our ancestors would target a huge animal, like a kudu. Naturally, the animal would sprint away and disappear over the horizon. But step 2, the humans didn't stop. They just followed the tracks, relentlessly. Imagine the psychological horror here. You run, you're gasping for breath in the blazing midday heat. You look back, and there are those exact same 2-legged creatures just walking towards you, day and night. No matter how fast you run, the monster never stops walking. Eventually, we hit step 3. The prey's muscles fill with lactic acid, it overheats, and it just collapses from sheer exhaustion, and the humans simply walk up and finish the job.
But we didn't just target prey animals. Oh no, we actively competed with the most dangerous apex predators on the planet. If a pack of lions made a kill, early humans wouldn't cower in the bushes. Acting with absolute, unbelievable defiance, they would stand in a synchronized line, bang rocks together, wave torches, and literally march straight toward the feeding lions. Now, lions are calculated. They know a broken bone means they can't hunt, and that means starvation. So when they saw this completely alien species acting with zero fear, totally lacking the normal panic of prey, the lions simply backed down.
Over hundreds of thousands of years, this created something scientists call the landscape of fear. It's a highly unique evolutionary pressure. The predators that were brave enough, or let's be real, foolish enough, to try and fight humans, they were systematically wiped out. They didn't survive. Only the predators that possessed a deeply rooted terror of humans survived long enough to pass on their genes. They don't just learn to fear us. Actually, scratch that. They don't learn it at all. They are born fearing us. The trauma is burned straight into their DNA.
So, let's see how this ancient trauma holds up today in part 2. The 2023 Sound Study, where they tested this exact trauma in South Africa.
Researchers conducted this groundbreaking behavioral study in the Greater Kruger National Park. They hid cameras and speakers near watering holes to see how wildlife, everything from elephants to hyenas, reacted to different sounds. When they played the deep, aggressive growls of lions, the animals remained relatively calm. They just sort of looked around to see where the lion was. Dogs barking or hunting gunshots, that caused minor to moderate alarm. But normal human beings speaking in calm conversational tones, Instant panic. Absolute rapid flight. The data from this is just staggering. When the speakers played a normal human calmly talking about the weather, 95% of the animals panicked and fled at their absolute maximum speed. Think about that. Elephants, leopards, hyenas, all of them, sprinting for their lives just because they heard a casual human conversation.
To put that into perspective, the data proved that the calm voice of a human being was fully twice as terrifying to the jungle than the roar of its loudest, most aggressive natural predator. Twice as scary. We are, mathematically speaking, the scariest thing an animal can possibly hear.
Which brings us to our final point, Part 3, the ultimate monster, redefining our place in nature.
The researchers summarized this whole phenomenon with a realization that is honestly kind of chilling. They said, our bare voices carry the acoustic ghost of a 2-million-year-old super predator. We really tend to think of ourselves as separated from nature, but nature remembers exactly who we are. We don't need to hold a weapon to terrify the planet. When a wild animal looks at you, it doesn't see a modern, soft human staring at a smartphone. Its ancient DNA sees the absolute peak of evolutionary terror, a relentless creature that can outlast any heartbeat on the planet.
You know, today we live in a world where we often feel so small and so disconnected from nature. We watch wild animals on documentaries, we admire their raw power, and we think, wow, the wild is a really scary place. We built this massive civilized world to protect ourselves from the wild, completely forgetting that the wild was already desperately trying to hide from us. To them, we have always been the monsters in the dark.
So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on the next time you step outside. If our mere presence, just a sound of our calm voices, is the ultimate terror to the planet's absolute deadliest predators, how much of our perceived human fragility is really just an illusion that we tell ourselves? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it changed the way you see yourself and the wild world around us.